Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to service your ignition points. If you have an old tractor or even an old car, Model A or something like that, or a muscle car from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever it might be, and you still like to use the points, or you just happen to have them and you haven't changed it over to electronic ignition or anything like that. So my tractor's been sitting since last September. It's been sitting all winter. It's real moist here in the Pacific Northwest. We live next to a river. We have high water table, a lot of moisture here. So we get a lot of moisture in our fuel, a lot of condensation, things like that. We get a lot of corrosion on the points and electrical connections, things like that. So in this video, I will show you how to service those points so you don't have to replace them. And I'll take you a couple steps further than most people will go to ensure that you actually have a good spark rather than just a spark. And this is true even if you have a tractor or something with points ignition and you're not getting a very good spark. This is just a couple of little tricks. It's just an old way of doing points that people just don't do anymore. It's a couple steps that people miss to ensure that you get a good spark. Okay, so we'll see you outside, and I'll introduce you to the green machine and the what do I call it? Mr. Smooth. Yes. See you soon. Good morning, everybody. Well, it's time to leave the comfort of the shop, and we're going to go outside and see if we can't get a couple tractors going for the season. They've been sitting since last summer, and it's time to put them to work. So I'll take you outside and show you what I got going on. All right. So just follow along. I'll see if I can switch this camera around to show another angle. Okay, so let's head on outside and show you what we got. First of all, we got what I call the green machine. That's a Jacobson D10. And I've had that for a while. Last year I built that plow to push some dirt around. And then we have its little brother, a G10, and that guy's right there. So I recovered that from a rental yard. Well, actually not from a rental yard. The guy I bought it from a rental yard. And then he used it for a few years and until he just couldn't use it anymore because he couldn't get it started. So I bought it from him. And when he picked it up from the rental yard, it actually had that backhoe on it, which is well used. So I need to replace the pins in it. It's pretty wobbly, but it works real good. I've replaced the cylinders and the hoses. We still have one more cylinder to replace. And then after I got it, I wanted a front end loader on it. So I harvested a front end loader off of an Alice Chalmers. It's an old Alice Chalmers. So I cut it up and chopped and cut here and cut there and ground it up and created this to fit this tractor. And it's pretty stout. I'm not a welder. I can cut things and measure and figure things out and come up with an idea. And so I built it and tacked it all together. And I have a couple of neighbors who are just amazing welders, and they finished all the welding up for me. So it's quite stout. So what I need to do is see if I can get the camera on this. I need to replace the fuel filter. I'll put some new fuel in it. This fuel's been sitting in there since last winter, and to be honest with you, I don't have easy access to ethanol-free fuel, so there's ethanol in there, so I have to deal with that. And then over here, I'm going to clean up the points. It still has the original, not the original points, but it's still a points ignition. So I'm going to clean those up and just give it a quick once over and get this thing started. Um, those are all the custom controls for the front end loader. So when I put the front end loader on it, I put new cylinders, all new hydraulic lines. They're pretty high pressure. So this thing's all ready to work. I've actually cleared a bunch of my property up there. Did that last year. I have a sawmill right here that I built. It's actually been sitting for over a year, so I've got some work to do on that. I've got some custom work I'm doing on the engine, which I put a Nonan 18 horse engine on it. And I've got my little, I think that was a 9N. No, that's a 2N. I picked that up a couple years ago. It's pretty rotted into the ground, and I still plan on getting that thing going. It actually has a Sherman gearbox in it too. So if you know the N series tractors, you know what I'm talking about with that. So it's worth holding on to. That engine's needs some serious work. Valve seats are just toast. All the valves are rusted, and so. But anyways, and this guy, we're gonna get that going right now because um, I have some stuff to pick up for it for a custom buggy I'm going to build. It's going to be a 4-wheel drive buggy, and I sold all the parts to my neighbor, and I'm going to buy them all back from him because he just doesn't have the time to build it. But one thing I haven't done yet with this one is it really needs the rocker arms adjusted, and I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to get it going so I can go pick up those parts, and then later I'll be doing those rocker arms, and then I'll also be going through at some point, not right away, but I'll be going through this front end loader, replacing all those pins and some of the warbled fitting areas. All the holes are a little bit warbled out, so I'll be dealing with that. So anyways, I'll get this camera set up. I've got a tire on the other side that's flat. So we'll get that blown up, and then we'll get the fuel filter replaced. And we've got, I don't remember if I've got two of them on here, but we've got one on that side as well. And we'll get this thing going and go pick up those axles. And see, we've got two frames to pick up: axle and engine, and transmission, and what else? Oh, and a transfer case. All right, so I'll see you right back. Okay, I just got to get this tire blown up. I'm sure you've all seen that kind of thing before, but I'll just show you anyways. It makes a lot of little noise here as it lifts this loader up. Hopefully the tire doesn't blow up on me. It needs new tires. That's coming probably next year. We'll just get this thing filled up with air. Once it gets going here, I'll just sort of stand back out of the way. And meanwhile, I'll go grab my coffee and I'll be right back. So you get to listen to the compressor as well. Here we go. I go for the sound of the kick rather than the tire pressure. I wait till it gets a little hard. Then we try some more. There we go. Okay, that's enough there. Then we'll just move on to the other side, and we'll clean up the points. And then I have a fuel filter on that side to replace as well. And we also have a fuel filter on this side to replace. I'll swing this air hose over here because I'm going to need that. And I'll go ahead and relocate the camera here. Okay, hopefully I've got that camera located where you can see that distributor cap pretty good. We're going to go ahead and pop that cap and clean the points up. It's been sitting for, since I think September. Yeah, I think about September of last year. All of my tractors have been sitting. We've had a lot of rain this year, and I live right next to a river up in the mountains, right in the middle of the forest, which is just a lovely place to live here in the Pacific Northwest. But we do get a lot of moisture. Everything just turns to algae, in a matter of days. And the moisture from the ground, especially when we have a river surrounding us, it just creates a lot of corrosion. So I'm sure there's some nastiness on those points. And I'm going to show you a little trick here that a lot of people avoid. But gosh, when I first started fixing motors, I pulled a lawnmower out of the neighbor's field, and I just tore it all apart and cleaned it all up. And it just so happened I had a really good neighbor, and he taught me that that extra trick you need to do to clean your points. And when you bought a set of points back then, it actually gave you the instructions to wipe them clean, not just to use a file on them, but also the moisture and a little bit of oil, especially from the factory, can cause those points to short out a little bit, and you don't get as strong a spark. So what I do is, as they suggested, in fact, I think back then they used to just provide you a little piece of paper with the instructions on them, and encourage you to close the points tight on that piece of paper, and then wipe those points clean. And you'd be surprised how much oil and just funk comes off of those points that actually weakens the spark. So I'll just show you that, which is not a big deal, but I'll just wipe the points clean with a little bit of real fine grit sandpaper. Just wipe it a couple times, give it a fresh surface, and then I'll wipe that out with I just use printer paper. So we'll get that going right away. That shouldn't take very long, and then we'll move on to the fuel filters and get this thing going again. So I'm just going to grab a screwdriver here, and I'm just going to pop these I'll just stay out of the screen here since there's really not much you can see of me, and that's not important. So then we're going to pop this cap off. I'm going to set it aside, and it's probably a little dirty. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but it's a little dirty on there. So we'll just wipe that clean a little bit, and I have to take this cap off. We have to be real careful because it has a little retainer in it. We don't want to lose that. Stay in there. There we go. It's actually in the rotor. Sorry about that. So we're going to rotate this out of my way, tuck it in under the fuel line, and that'll do a good job, I think. Get that up there. Okay, so there's our points. I'm going to take my gloves off, and I'm just going to take this piece of sandpaper right here, and I'm going to rip a piece of it off. And generally what I do is I'll just take that and fold it in half. I rarely will ever use files on these. I always use sandpaper, because when you use a file, it actually changes the attack angle, the contact angle of those points. So I just always use sandpaper. That way I can keep the same. It basically marries the contact points at a better angle. So they're basically what you call coplaning. So in the same plane rather than attacking with a leading edge. I'm just going to stick that screwdriver in here. Now I'm going to open up those points, and then I don't sit there and rub this thing. All I do is I just strike it, and then I do it again. And you see how much came off of there? All that came out of the points, off of that one side, and that other side is clean. So then I find a new spot, and I open up them points again. There we go. And then I strike it again, just real lightly. So that side has a little bit more debris on it, and none there. So for me, that tells me I probably need to do it one more time. So I'm just going to give it a new spot, a new surface. And I don't want to just sand it. I'm just trying to clean the debris off. So that's why I'm just just putting it in there, letting the points close up on it. And again, you want to do this with the points closed. That way you open it up and it has a little spring tension on it. And then again, I'll just pull that through there. See that? Just a tiny bit of debris on there. And this other side's still pretty clean. So that's good enough for me. So now what I'll do is I'll just take this standard piece of printer paper. That's it, just printer paper. And I'll just rip a piece off there. And I'll do the same thing with the printer paper. I'm going to fold it over, get a little bit of thickness to it. And I'm going to open them points back up. And hopefully we won't get too much debris, but I'm sure we'll get a little bit of color out of it. So then we'll go ahead and strike that the same way. And if I was to leave all that on there, see that? That can cause a weak spark right there. And see that? That will cause a weak spark. Then we just want to keep doing that until we see no debris come off of that, showing up on that paper. But this is the step that most people will fail to do. They'll replace those points, and then they think that they just need to take a pair of. Well, in fact, most people will replace the points and just figure that that's the way they're supposed to be from the factory, and then they'll end up still with a weak spark. They may not even know they have a weak spark, or they may be getting a little popping from the engine and a little misfire and this and that. A lot of times it's right there, just from that little bit of debris on those points, because you're just not getting a full spark. So we'll pull it through one more time. Okay, just a little bit. So we're going to do it again until we see nothing on that paper. And then we don't want to touch those points after that. We just don't even want to put our fingertips on them, because even the oil from your fingers. Sorry for the shakiness. It's just part of life, I suppose. When you get my age and you get on these stupid medications and for a few months, and there's those little side effects. Okay, there's actually still a little debris on there. A little debris there. Some of that is from the side of it. So I'm going to grab a fresh piece. It didn't help that I drank a pot of coffee this morning. Okay, ready? So we'll do it one more time and see what we get. Just a tiny bit there, a little bit there. So I'm going to do it one more time and call it good. It's pulling some from the side of it, not from the face. Yeah, that's good. There's just that's really good there. So I'm satisfied with that. I'm just gonna put that paper away, and then I'm gonna check this condenser where it contacts here, and everything looks good there. There's no corrosion. There's no other corrosion there. There's no oil laying around there. So I'll go ahead and put this guy back on. This little cap. I got to put that arrow again. This engine, just for your information, it's actually this is a Ford Industrial 172 cubic inch engine. Pretty common in some of the older Ford tractors. Um, just a really good engine, such a torquey engine, and I've just never had any fails from these guys as long as I keep my carburetor clean. Again, it'd be good if I was running ethanol-free fuel, but the one place that I was getting it was just only a mile away from here. That was just our little mountain grocery store, but they just happened to close down um, last year, which is too bad, but that's what happens with some of these little mom and pop outfits. So anyway, so we got that back on. We got the points clean, and I'm going to go ahead and clean that little bit of debris off of there, and I'm just going to strike that a couple times with the paper, with the sandpaper, real lightly. I don't want to change the shape of it, so I just want to clean that off. I probably could have done it even with that paper. Okay, so that cleans that up, and I'm going to wipe it the same way with this paper. And that's pretty clean there. So we can put the cap back on, and it's actually the cap that has that little tiny retainer in there. It's a spring-loaded deal, and it's easy to lose that when you pull these caps off. Most people don't know that that's even in there, and it'll pop right out, and it actually fits right over top of that, the top of the rotor and the shaft. And so we just want to line that little flat piece of the tab with this little flat piece of the shaft. So we're just gonna lightly twist it a little bit and just pop that back on. Then we want to go ahead and check the top of our rotor, and that has a little bit of debris where it makes contact with the contacts in the cap. So I want to do that real lightly. I don't want to change the shape or anything like that. That's just a little piece of brass. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit so we get a little bit of shininess going on here. Oh, yeah, there we go. That cleaned it right up. That cleaned it right up. There's a little bit on the side there. I want to get that too. There we go. It's no longer black or gray. There we go. And again, we'll do the same thing. We'll wipe that off with the paper. We want to get just any debris, any oil off of there. It's not going to cause a short because there's nothing for it to ground to, but it will cause a weak spark. So we just want to clean all those up. Then we want to do the same thing. We want to check out that rotor for the cap. There's a little bit of debris in there. Make sure these contacts are good. You can get corroded. I'm going to go ahead and hit those with sandpaper real lightly. Get myself a fresh piece here. Again, I want to avoid changing the shape of these, so I don't. So we want to hit each one of those contact points. And again, I don't want to hit it real aggressively because I don't want to change the shape. I just want to just brush them real lightly to clean any debris off of there. Make sure they stay nice and shiny. I mean, after a while of running, they're not going to be shiny, but at least you can start the season off that way. And then you just check them every once in a while, especially if you live in an area like me where it's just are battling moisture, condensation, and corrosion just constantly. It seems a little bit dirtier than the others. I don't know why that is. Get one more time. All right, so then we'll go ahead and brush those with the paper. I'm going to find a nice clean spot on the paper here. We'll clean any oil off of that. So again, just getting in there with that paper. I hope you can see that. And just brushing them contacts. See, it just gets that little bit off of there, and all of that. You combine that with the little bit of debris on the points, and then the little bit of debris on our contact on the rotor, and it just continues on down the line to weaken your spark. So this is how you can maximize the strength of that spark. There we go. So then I'm going to grab that air hose. I guess that's right beside me here, and I'm going to tap that little more that's laying in the dirt, clean that out, and then I'm going to blow this out. Go nice and loud for you. There we go. And then I'll go ahead and wipe any of the debris off my hands. And we'll go ahead and put that cap back on, line it up with the retainer clips. That one, line this one up. There, and that's it. That's all you need to do to get a nice, good spark out of there. And then we'll move on to replacing these fuel filters, and then go from there. Okay.